Hello everyone, this is IronZaku. I'm back at it again with another tier list video for my channel, and this time I've decided to go back to one of my popular favorite science fiction franchises, Star Wars. And of course I do have a good friend of mine that has been in the franchise for long enough, so please introduce yourself.
Hello.
What a way to start off the video.
Yes. What a fantastic word.
Yeah. Of course, here we have the mighty Amaymon, which I will have his social medias linked in the description below for his Twitch channel for you to go over and to follow.
And subscribe, give me money, give me bits. I'm kidding.
Yeah, okay. Enough of the plugins as well, so I guess we need to set some ground rules for this one before we go on ahead, don't you think?
Yeah, there's going to be full-on spoilers.
Yeah, we need to
that does include the Bad Batch as well. I know that's still ongoing, but that'll probably include the Bad Batch.
Yeah, again, I'll have that disclaimer right now. So this is likely going to be a video for those who have seen a lot of Star Wars, considering how old the property is. So if you've not seen much, then be warned.
Yeah.
So then, with that out of the way, let us begin. First off, we have Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace in canon order. How do you feel about this one?
See, Phantom Menace, I know there's a lot of haters out there just because of Jar Jar Binks.
I know.
Right? But, yeah, I can agree that it's not a great film just because of all of the politics and stuff that kind of bore the fans. It kind of bored me a little bit.
I can see where you're coming from. Although, for me personally, if you don't mind, I didn't actually mind it a lot because the prequel era was the one where I grew up on Star Wars when I first got into the franchise, believe it or not.
Well, it was the same for me as well. I watched Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones religiously. Obviously, when Revenge of the Sith came out, I actually watched it. I can always remember... I'll go into that when we get to it. But,
yeah, we will. I will say, for my personal highlights for Phantom Menace, it did give us Darth Maul, who would be expanded upon.
Yeah, that was literally the best thing about it, is that they gave us Darth Maul.
And the pod racing segment was a fun guilty pleasure as a kid.
Now this is pod racing!
Yeah, and I could always just remember all the dumb quotes where Anakin's like, "It's working!"
See, I don't think, because obviously with the guy who plays Anakin in this film, Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, I know.
He got bullied religiously. He got bullied a lot when it first came out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can acknowledge that his performance wasn't great, but it didn't warrant all of the hate he got, which is just so terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say The Phantom Menace is terrible, because it's not. It's not a terrible film.
No.
But it hasn't really aged well, for me, anyway.
Well, the effects might not as well, and the fact that Jar Jar does kind of get a bit annoying at times. So, depending on how we're feeling about this could either be C or D tier.
I'd probably... I'll be generous. I'll go C. I'd probably put it C.
And I'll agree as well. I think it's because of the fact that people have been looking back on these in time, and they've kind of gotten a bit soft on it. But, I don't mind Phantom Menace, truth be told. I know I'm going to get some weird looks, but hey, I was growing up on the prequel era, so don't give me flack.
And the thing is, as well, with Jar Jar Binks, I actually liked him a lot as a kid.
Yeah, didn't a lot of 90s kids that were growing up.
I actually have a Jar Jar Binks, alarm clock thingy, but it's kind of like a mixture between a toy and an alarm clock. It's the thing I showed you the other day.
Oh yeah, definitely. I saw that on Discord and I was like, nice.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it's really nice. Okay, so yeah, very nice. So are you okay with this ranking so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we have Attack of the Clones.
Right. I'd probably put it maybe I don't know.
I can honestly say
I'd rank it higher than Phantom Menace.
Oh really?
Yeah. I mean, they had that shitey love story with Anakin and Padme.
I mean, I was just...
was just cringe, and obviously the sand meme.
Yeah, I know.
But,
it's rough, coarse, irritating, and it just gets everywhere.
but the one thing I did like, the things that I did like, was I introduced the clones, Django Fett, and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Which of course would be.
Yeah, introduced Django Fett, brought in obviously the clones and stuff.
Which of course would be expanded upon, which was very fun to see in like future installments in the Clone Wars era.
And obviously, Ewan McGregor's mullet is amazing.
Of course. I'm not sure how I feel about this one as well, because, of course, on one end, it did give us a lot of great stuff that would be expanded upon. It did give us the clones. It gave us a lot of great locations and all that. But at the same time, though, it also kind of had its own like baggage, kind of like with Phantom Menace, with its being at times boring and fairly cringy, like you said, with the sand stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I'd say probably one of the main highlights for that film for me was the Battle of Geonosis.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where you see all the Jedi just fight along, fight all the droids and all that, and the clones coming in for the first time with Yoda.
Yeah.
I mean, that bit was great.
Yeah, I think it was also that introduced like Mace Windu as well, and that was fairly epic.
I mean, it introduced him with a purple lightsaber.
Yeah, it was like that in
specifically.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking he was kind of was in Phantom Menace, but then we actually saw him like duke it out a bit in Attack of the Clones, and that was fairly fun.
Yeah, he literally asked George Lucas to give him a purple lightsaber because everyone had blue or green.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when you had Samuel Jackson on set, you better give him his purple lightsaber.
But yeah, I saw with Django Fett, obviously, he was like the template of the clones and stuff.
Yeah.
So every clone just looks like Django Fett, and it's great.
Yeah. And of course, we even got a look at like Boba Fett's early life, which of course would be expanded upon in later installments.
Yeah. If you go on prequels first, it would introduce Boba.
Yeah.
But if you go on original trilogy first and then prequels, then
yeah.
It's just to give you a bit of a backstory on Boba. Even though it's kind of like subtle, it's not like a massive backstory for him, but it's there.
Yeah, it is there. So, at the end of the day, though, how are we feeling about ranking Attack of the Clones?
Probably.
I mean, I'm just thinking like it could either be on the same tier of Phantom, or slightly above with what you've said.
I'd probably, like me personally, I'd either rank it either a high C or a low B. So that's.
I'm guessing if we could, should we like split the difference a bit and put it in the same tier as Phantom Menace, because it does have its fair share of baggage that holds it back a bit with all the stuff that we said about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Attack of the Clones. Next up in the canon, of course, we have the Clone Wars animated movie.
Okay, I have a little bit of thoughts on this.
Yeah, me too as well.
I actually watched it day one in the cinema.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in cinema as well as a kid. That introduced the show later on.
Well, I didn't even know the show was a thing until like later on. But yeah, the movie, I think it's very rushed. Like it does feel like an episode of Clone Wars, but longer.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why this movie exists is just like to show off this expensive pilot for the show that would come.
Yeah, it's basically the pilot episode. The one thing in this film is that it introduces Ahsoka.
Yeah, I mean, it introduces her, but it also had a story that I just did not personally care.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, hey, we need to save Boba. No, not Boba. I was going to say, they were like, okay, they need to save Jabba's son. I'm like, I don't care about the Jabba's son bit.
Jabba's son looks fucking weird, bro.
Yeah. And I believe the animation was fairly rough as well, because I think it was like the late 2000s when this came out.
2008, I think it was.
Yeah, 2008.
But, like I say, it introduced Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I didn't like Ahsoka at all in this film. I could not stand her because of how annoying she was.
Yeah, a lot of people were kind of like that at first because, it's like, she's fulfilling the annoying kid trope again.
But you've got to think of it this way.
Yeah.
She's still a kid.
Yeah.
Which she gets expanded upon in Clone Wars, and she becomes a fan favorite. For me as well, like, I really like Ahsoka now.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's class. But in the first introduction of Ahsoka, I didn't like her at all.
Yeah, I mean, that was fairly rough as well. And on top of all that, I don't really remember this movie that much, if I'm being honest, years later. Other than that story of that whole plot of, like, fighting Jabba's son.
I think, well, I watched it more recently. I watched it, like, last year, I think.
Okay.
Because I ended up buying it on DVD. But yeah, I think the best things about this film is that they got some of the cast from the actual movies to come back. Like, Sam Jackson still plays Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee is back as
Count Dooku.
Obviously, it's not the same in the show because it's different voice actors in the show, but they come back for the movie.
Yeah.
I think that was it. I think they were the only two.
Yeah.
I think, well, obviously Anthony Daniels is C-3PO.
Yeah.
But for Clone Wars, for the Clone Wars movie, I'd put it I'd probably put it as a D, if I'm honest.
I'm thinking about that as well, considering how, well, it's not the worst thing to happen in Star Wars, personally. It is a very rough introduction, and I can only, like, personally recommend it to those who are, like, huge diehard fans of the show later, so that you can see how it all started, if that makes sense.
Like, don't get me wrong, I don't hate the film. I really like the film. But it's just, it has its problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Although what doesn't have much problems as that movie is what came afterwards that would be expanded with the Clone Wars animated show.
For me, that just straight off the bat, that's a fucking S tier. Top tier.
Yeah, let's just put it in S and discuss why.
Right, for me, like, I liked the first couple of seasons, right? It was alright. Mm-hmm. But obviously the animation gets better and better each time.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was the moment they brought back Darth Maul is when they completely...
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely loved how I loved how they brought back Darth Maul, and he got expanded upon so much to being one of my all-time favorite characters. Like, don't get me wrong, before I watched Clone Wars, the series, I really liked Darth Maul as a character from The Phantom Menace. Even though, like, you hardly knew anything about him and all that, but he expands that. It tells you basically where he's from. Yeah.
How he got to where he is.
I believe there were also, like, a couple of prequel comics as well for Maul, but I don't think I've read those to be ranked on the tier list.
He's got that one, and he's got Son of Dathomir, which is when he has the Darksaber.
Yeah.
Because he ends up getting, like I said, it's spoilers, so
yeah, it's fine. We can discuss those. So
he's got the Darksaber. The episode that really got me with that was when Obi-Wan's like disguised as a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And he's gonna try and get Duchess Satine out.
Okay.
And Maul ends up killing Satine, wanting Obi-Wan basically to turn to the dark side. I mean, but Obi-Wan's just like, nah. And like later on in the episode, like, it was a pretty dark episode. And then later on in the episode, because of how powerful Maul's becoming, with rule and Mandalore, and he's got the like the crime syndicates and all that stuff. I can't remember the names and stuff, but he's got all them to the point where Darth Sidious literally comes in pissed, whacks out 2 lightsabers, kills his brother Savage Opress.
Oh god.
Like,
yeah,
that episode, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Obviously the final season that Disney Plus brought out, the duel with Maul and Ahsoka, that was motion captured.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I feel like the last couple of episodes for that final season were some of Star Wars at its absolute best. Likely because it happened around the time for Revenge of the Sith, which we'll soon discuss about in a moment.
Yeah.
Although, before we go on ahead, were there any issues you had with the show in general?
I think the only issues I have with the show is that the episodes aren't in order.
Oh yeah, definitely for the earlier seasons.
The episodes aren't in order, so it can be quite confusing.
Yeah. And another And another issue I do personally have, and I'm not sure if you'll agree with me, is the fact that they kind of made General Grievous a bit of a coward.
But that's how he was portrayed in Revenge of the Sith.
I mean, at least in Revenge of the Sith, again, we'll get to that in a moment, he kind of put up a fight for the most part against Obi-Wan and that. But throughout the rest of the show, at least he's known as a Jedi Hunter, but if my memory serves me right, he only kills, like, one Jedi in that show.
Aye, because he's more of a general for his droid army.
Yeah.
He, like, if you watch the Dathomir episode, he basically wipes out, like, the whole of Dathomir.
Oh, God. But anyway, with that out of the way, personally, that's our ranking for the show for Clone Wars. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. Okay, next one, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, S tier again.
Yeah, I'm thinking that this could either be S or A as well, because of the fact that I do think it's the absolute best out of the prequel movies, but it does kind of have some of its moments where, you know, the whole, like, no, happened at the end.
Yeah, I think, but it's a space opera, you know, it's gonna be cheesy somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm thinking that we could also, you know what, are we going to put it below Clone Wars in the S tier?
I think they're on par, if I'm honest.
Fair enough.
I'd say they're on par. Primarily just because, obviously, the whole Order 66 scene.
Oh, God.
Class. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I always hate it when this happens because I'm just feeling so bad. Like, why is this happening? I mean, just when all the Jedi are dying left and right and the dramatic music that plays is just so sad for me.
And obviously the climactic fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah.
And the music in that is bang on. I think it's called Battle of the Heroes.
Yeah.
That tops Duel of the Fates for me.
Yeah, the music in that one was God tier as well.
It tops Duel of the Fates. And obviously it shows how he became Darth Vader when he gets burnt alive.
Yeah. Burnt to an absolute crisp.
Like, he literally got toasted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mortal Kombat style.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking of that as well in my head. I was like, when that scene happens, whenever I always see that, I always play that Mortal Kombat moment in my head where it's like, toasty.
Yeah.
Oh God. So, anything else you want to discuss before we move on?
I'd say the clone battles as well, like the one on Kashyyyk, I quite enjoyed.
Oh yeah, the action sequences of those are epic.
But what stood out to me was Order 66, where you see all the Jedi just get turned against and.
Of course, because it's the one that began the transition period from the Clone Wars era to what would become the original trilogy.
That's another thing I wanted to touch upon with Clone Wars as well. They explained how Order 66 worked.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
They explained how Order 66 works.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is why the clones just basically.
Yeah, I mean, again, you just give them an order and there you go. They're doing what they're told. They just kill all those Jedis like no other.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just too good.
Yeah. Okay, so for the next one, this might be a bit of a weird one to discuss considering how it's not finished, but we decided to include it anyways just to give our current thoughts on it at the moment, at the time this video's release. Star Wars: The Bad Batch.
Okay, right. I've got a couple of thoughts. Like, with it currently going on now, there's still, I think, 1 or 2 episodes left of the season.
Yep.
When this video's out.
Yeah.
So far, I am enjoying it. Like, I think it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd probably put it at a B though, because there's been the odd episodes where it felt like filler. It felt like.
I mean, I definitely heard that as well, because I just started like watching it for myself as well, so I'm bracing myself for that filler. So I think so far from what I've heard, it definitely falls under that motto of it being good but not great, if that makes sense.
See, like, again, I'm going back to Clone Wars here. Clone Wars introduced the Bad Batch in its final season, and I really liked them.
Yeah,
I didn't expect them to make their own show, and then when they did, I quite enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I'll spoil the first episode of Bad Batch, where you see Kanan Jarrus as a Padawan.
Yeah.
Order 66 happens.
Yeah, definitely, I saw that.
He gets let go by Hunter.
Yeah.
Crosshair sees him do that, because Crosshair's Order 66 thing's working.
Yeah.
They're kind of not working.
Yeah.
Because their inhibitor chip is kind of like...
Defective?
They're kind of defective, because obviously the defective clones.
Yeah, hence the name, the Bad Batch.
Yeah, that's why they call the Bad Batch. Because obviously you've got there's Crosshair, Tech, Echo, Wrecker.
Yeah. Hunter.
Wrecker is my spirit animal, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's like that lovable jerk that you would love to have in your squad.
Omega, she's kind of hit or miss. She's annoying. She's getting annoying now. She's like, oh, we have to help them. Just to help everybody. Like, even the bad guys. She's like, oh, we have to help them, blah, blah, blah. Just like, shut up.
She's just basically like this huge mole anchor for the Bad Batch, you know? So with that out of the way, I think we shall put this in B tier, like you said, so far.
Yeah, I'd say B.
About of that ranking. So next one, and hopefully we both play this one in the game's canon, Jedi Fallen Order.
Hell yes. I mean, considering this is a game, it's not like a movie or anything. It's kind of different.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to talk about the gameplay or whatever.
Well, we could definitely try, considering how, with its lightsaber combat, I thought for the most part it was done really great. It did give me a bit of Dark Souls vibes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But, like, story-wise, for me, I'd probably put it... I'd probably need to replay it, to be fair, because it's been a while, but...
Yeah, so this one could either be very high in either S or A, depending on how we discuss things.
Yeah, it is a side story, to be fair. It's not like Clone Wars or Bad Batch where it's actually directly linked.
Yeah, it's more like its own...
it's more like its own thing.
Yeah, going on during the events of the OG.
Yeah, like I say, there's going to be full spoilers. I'll keep saying that in case.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we did say that. To be fair, we did say there was going to be like spoilers, so we're totally fine to discuss them.
I'd say the scene where the second sister Trilla, like after the final battle with her,
yeah,
she just gets frozen in place, and as soon as you hear the breathing, Darth Vader.
Oh,
that sent chills down my spine. Like, not gonna lie, I got it spoiled because at the time it was getting advertised on TV, and they literally showed Darth Vader in the trailer.
I mean, yeah, that was one thing that was kind of spoiled. While I was just thinking to myself, EA, what are you doing, spoiling your big surprise?
I wouldn't say it's EA's fault. I'd say it's probably whoever made the trailer's fault for spoiling Darth Vader right there at the end of the trailer. I mean, but it's fine.
I mean, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Like the scene itself, god tier Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because it just shows Vader as a absolute machine, basically.
Yeah.
Because he just throws Seer off like it's nothing. Like, because she goes charging at him and he just throws her off like.
I mean, it was basically like that song where it's like, "Bitch, don't talk to me," and he just moves her out the way.
I saw, like, when I first saw that, I was like in shock. I was thinking, they're not gonna kill Seer off like that, are they? But like, I was laughing at the same time just because of how she just went flying off. And there's the scene with Jaro Tapal, which is Cal Kestis's Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Like, you see him get trained in flashbacks and stuff, learning force powers and whatnot. And then you see Order 66 happen. That was really good.
Yeah, that was done really well.
The bit that got me was when Taro dies.
Yeah.
And he gives him his lightsaber. And Cal's in the escape pod.
Yeah.
Or ship or whatever. And he's there clenching at his saber, and he's just like, ah! It just makes a funny noise.
Yeah.
Like, he's crying, but like he's got like that face, and he's like, ah!
You know what? I can definitely picture it in my head.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're going to be under the agreement that overall, I think Fallen Order is a really great game.
For its story, because like I say, I'm going through from story, not from the gameplay.
Fair enough.
Story, I'd give it a B, probably a B, just for its story though.
Okay.
If it was gameplay like and everything else, I'd give it an S, but everything else it's a B.
I mean, I think it's overall great as well. And with what you said, I'm just thinking if you're in agreement for this, we could split the difference and put Fallen Order in the A tier. If that makes sense.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
I mean, great game. I really liked the gameplay myself. It gave me a lot of Dark Souls vibes, or Sekiro, because that was kind of roughly out of the same year, I think. So overall, I absolutely enjoyed it. Right, so what are your interesting thoughts for our next contender, Solo: A Star Wars Story?
From what I remembered, I quite enjoyed it as well.
Now,
I really enjoyed Solo.
yeah. Now I'll give my own hot take. Are you ready for this?
Go for it.
I didn't really get it that much. I was mostly bored, truth be told.
That's fair.
I mean, I'll get into that in my issues, but of course, I'll hear you out first.
Right. So, obviously, it introduces Han.
Yeah, it was his own prequel story.
His own prequel. Like, to be fair, the film didn't need to be made.
Yeah,
I'll just say that straight up. It didn't need to be made, but it does show the Kessel Run, which is what gets talked about in the original trilogy a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's technically introducing Han Solo
and Chewbacca.
No, Chewbacca was in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, he was.
I'd say more Han and Lando.
Yeah, more like Han. Yeah, I can definitely see why. Because I was just thinking to my head like how Han and Chewbacca met first.
Yeah, it's basically how they met. Woody Harrelson's in it. He's always a win for me.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
And again, spoiler alert: Darth Maul appears at the end.
Only
Quite
for a
enjoyed
few.
that as well.
If only it lasted for like a few seconds at the part
And
where
that
he
was
was
him talking about Crimson Dawn. That was his Crimson Dawn. That's his thing.
Yeah.
So that was more on the crime syndicate side of Maul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't really remember too much of the film. It's quite a while ago.
Yeah.
I remember them showing the Kessel Run.
Yeah.
I remember that one job went wrong.
Yeah.
The one heist.
Yeah.
That's about it, really.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Now, with that out of the way, I'll go over some of my problems that I have with it. So, are you ready?
Go for it.
Now, for the pros that you gave it, that's kind of the film's weakness in a way because of the fact that there's a complete, like, for me, lack of tension because of the fact that you know Han's just going to make it towards the original trilogy. You know he's going to make it out to the Kessel Run, so there was little to no tension. I mean, I'm glad it showed it. But again, I'm just like, wait a sec. He's just going to make it anyway, so what's the point of fearing for it? And some of the newer characters that were introduced to that one as well were either hit or miss. The one that I wasn't a huge fan of personally was the droid character of L337. Remember her?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she just wouldn't stop talking about like droid rights and all that. She's like that sort of political character that you wish would just stop saying stuff. And now she's the AI in the Millennium Falcon as well, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, mad.
Yeah. I mean, I could go on and on, but now ranking it is going to be a hard part for me now, or for us too, because you liked it. I thought it was kind of So, judging by what we talked about it, this could either be B, C, or potentially D. So how do you feel about that one?
For me, I wouldn't say it's a D. It's nowhere near a D. I'd probably put it as a C, if I'm honest.
I mean, you know what? I'll let you have this one. I think we could say it's a C then. I mean, there were some moments I did like, but I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of it overall. I'm sure some people like it, and that's fine. But for me, I'm just like, it's what it is. Okay, so back for TV shows in the canon. How do you feel about Star Wars Rebels?
Rebels, I love Rebels when it's actually progressing the story.
Yeah.
There is a lot, and I mean a lot of filler.
Yeah, I mean, that's what really, like, holds the show back a bit, because I tried getting into it myself and all, and while I did enjoy it at times, I was just thinking to myself, get on with it. Where's the major stuff?
The major wins I can give this show is that Vader's in it.
Yeah.
And he's voiced by James Earl Jones.
Again, legend.
Maul's back.
Yeah.
And it shows how, like, what happened with him.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka's back, you know, and she's got white lightsabers now.
Yeah, which are badass.
I'd only just recently finished Rebels as well, like, completely. And yeah, I'd say it's satisfying. It's a satisfying Star Wars show.
When it's focused on its story, that is.
But when it's actually focused. Another thing as well, Yoda's in it for like a couple of episodes, and he's voiced by Frank Oz.
Oh, absolutely.
So like, yeah, it's it has its moments, but I wouldn't say. I'd say it's on the same level as Bad Batch for me.
You say it's on the same tier as Bad Batch?
just for the same reasons, mainly because Bad Batch has its good moments.
Yeah, and
when
of course,
the story's progression. But the thing is with Bad Batch doesn't have a lot of filler. It only has a few episodes. I mean, it's only one season at the moment.
Yeah,
and it's still ongoing.
So I would probably sorry.
But like, there is a couple of fillers, and the fillers are quite crap, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So I would say like we'll probably agree and put it in the same tier as Bad Batch. Although I'm going to put it here, so it's kind of below that show, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
S.
Oh, you're instantly thinking S tier?
S.
I'd love to hear your case.
One of the best things that Disney's done with Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Although I'm kind of debating that because we also have Mandalorian, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, we'll get to Mandalorian, don't you worry.
Yeah.
So, Rogue One is one of the best things that they've done with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Primarily because it shows how the rebel spies or whatever that was in the title crawl of A New Hope,
and how
they got the Death Star plans and how. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, and how they explained why the Death Star had that weak point that was shown in A New Hope. That was cleverly explained, personally.
Yeah, like they explained why there was like a little hole in the Death Star that basically essentially made it blow up.
Yeah.
There was a reason behind that. That's why they needed the plans. Is because they needed to find that weakness, and obviously we can't talk about Rogue One without talking about the Vader scene at the end.
Oh yeah, when I saw that in cinemas, I was just like, yeah, just rip and tear. Basically, I was just like picturing
just the Doom music with him. Just him just absolutely slaughtering rebels and throwing them about like they're nothing. Beautiful. I think it was beautiful because I'm all for Sith, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, same here.
But honestly, this is what made Vader like an absolute monster, like a machine.
Yeah, like a force of nature that just will absolutely wreck your shit and all.
Yeah, exactly.
Thinking back in retrospect and how I even liked how when the finale is going on, a lot of the battles are like very like warlike and it's really gritty and it just shows the conflict going on. It's just so awesome.
The one scene that I really thought was funny was Donnie Yen's character. I forget his name, and he's blind, but he's like really good with his martial arts. Obviously, it's Donnie Yen.
Yeah.
And there's the one scene where they're putting the bags over the characters' heads to take him to Saw Gerrera. But they put a bag over his head, even though he's a blind character, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? I am blind." Yeah. And I only just found out really recently that was actually improvised.
Oh, nice.
So like, it was so funny. It was so
yeah.
good.
I think I think we'll put it in the same tier as well. Although I will say, a fair share of the characters I don't remember much, but for everything else, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So Rogue One is definitely S tier. Thoughts? So let's start off the one that began it all, basically, A New Hope.
A New Hope, right? I'm not going to put them all in S tier, otherwise I should, but I'm not going to, just for the sake of the video. I love the original trilogy, like I love them. I mean, I love the prequels, but A New Hope, obviously, it sets up the tone and whatnot to Star Wars in general, like the entire thing.
Yeah,
and it's what started it all. But obviously, I'm just nitpicking it. It's just very dated, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, there are some things about it that have kind of not aged well, especially with the future re-releases with the infamous special editions. You know, the ones that people complain about with the CGI add-ons.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the original cuts because I had them on VHS. I had all three of them on VHS.
Nice.
So, if I'm going from original cut, it's alright. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I do like the special edition cuts as well, even though there is some like awful CGI. And if you notice, there's the one scene. I think the one scene that they did cut was the Jabba scene.
Yeah.
But originally Jabba was meant to be human.
Yeah, I saw that online as well, and I was like, wow, what happened behind the scenes for that one?
So obviously when he walks around him, hand walks around him.
Yeah.
In the special edition, he steps over his tail, so they had to digitally move him up and then move him down again to make it look like he stepped over the tail.
Yeah.
Over the tail.
Yeah, but the way it looked like, it kind of looked like if you took the scene, put it in Photoshop, and you just dragged Han Solo up and down with the mouse, and it kind of looked a bit like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I did like the scene with Jabba anyway. I didn't mind it. I mean, the CGI wasn't great, but it's because it's a special edition. It's not like what they had a big budget for.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the reason why the special editions existed was because of the fact that that was what George Lucas wanted to achieve initially.
Yeah, because obviously it was 1977. There wasn't really the technology and whatnot like there is today with CGI and stuff like that. I mean, they had the sabers all good.
Yeah.
Another thing that didn't really age well for me was the fight between Vader and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it's just them like pointing sticks at each other, just smacking them.
It's literally just them poking sticks at each other. And like, don't get me wrong, I liked it. It's the first lightsaber battle you see on screen.
Yeah.
But if you've watched the reimagined one on YouTube,
I seen that one as well. It was so badass.
If they incorporate that into the film,
yeah, that would be epic.
Because with that it showed Vader's anger towards Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan showed himself, deflecting and
using the Force as well, and Vader being on fire and him throwing a punch occasionally as well. That was all nice. It
was great. But anyway,
New
that's it here.
You know what? I think I'm gonna agree and put it in A tier as well, because I don't think it's my absolute favorite in the original trilogy. Again, I know I'm gonna get some weird looks, but we'll get to that later. Now, the next one is Empire Strikes Back.
You know where this is going.
Yeah, we both know where this is going.
You know where that's going.
Of course, an absolute disaster. Why would anyone want to see that? Okay, let's. To be fair, everyone, this is actually S tier. We're just pulling your leg because in case anyone's like, "What the fuck? Did he just put Empire Strikes Back in F tier?"
Yeah, well, Empire Strikes Back. It's Empire Strikes Back, man. It's my favorite movie of all time. Like,
yeah, I think it's my favorite one in Star Wars in general.
Because obviously the whole Hoth bit, the Dagobah, the Bespin, and obviously there was I mean, to be fair, I knew the twist before because I'd watched the prequels beforehand.
Yeah.
But obviously with him saying, "I am your father."
Yeah, that moment just broke a lot of people back then with the twist.
Yeah, like back in the 80s, yeah. It's just, I mean, Vader was insane in that film. There was the fight between him and Luke in Bespin. It was amazing because that one bit where Luke's not like really winning, but he is defending himself quite well, even though he's not really trained. He's basically not trained at all.
I feel like
he kind of knows how to use the Force, but not really.
But because he didn't complete that with Yoda, that was kind of like his downfall in the last few moments.
It's basically like Yoda was trying to train him up, and he knew that Leia and Han and Chewie were all like captured and whatnot.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Nah, fuck that. I'm just gonna go save my friends. I'm gonna sort them right out." And then obviously he fights Vader.
And we all know what happens.
Vader does kick his ass, but it's the fact that Luke defends himself when he's not been trained.
Yeah.
Because you know how powerful he is anyway.
Yeah.
And to the point where you can see that Vader is that pissed off, he just starts bashing at him, basically. And then he cuts his hand off. Cuts Luke's hand off.
Yes. I mean, you got to give Luke points for at least putting up a good fight.
I mean, it lasted a while, so...
Yeah.
And obviously, it technically introduced Boba Fett as well.
Yeah.
Like,
with very little screen time, but for somehow he became a fan favorite back then.
Obviously, like, he had a different voice when I watched it anyway. He had a different voice, but then obviously the special editions changed it to
sound like Django with the clones.
I can't remember his name. I can't pronounce his name. Tamara Morrison. He currently plays Boba Fett now because obviously he's a clone of Django.
Yeah.
But he obviously played Django Fett as well.
Yeah. So how do you still? S tier.
But yeah, I'd say S tier.
So how do you feel about the last one in the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi?
I enjoyed that as well. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I thought it really nicely wrapped up the story that the trilogy was going for.
See, for the beginning of Return of the Jedi, it was nice because obviously in A New Hope they mention a lot about. Well, it was Greedo that came over to Han's table.
Yeah.
And they talk about Jabba and stuff like that. And when you watch the original, you don't know who Jabba is.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched the special edition, you don't know who Jabba is. You don't know he's like the big crime lord type thing.
Absolutely.
And they mention it a little bit in Empire Strikes Back as well, which is when he gets because obviously he gets frozen, and Boba takes him back to Jabba's palace, which is where Return of the Jedi starts, because it's them getting Han back.
Yeah.
But obviously you see Boba Fett in that as well. There was other bounty hunters. I keep forgetting that there was multiple bounty hunters in Empire Strikes Back, but you didn't really see them.
Of course, they didn't even like give us the infamous Boba Fett death, but he just falls into that Sarlacc pit. I thought it was kind of funny.
Well, now canonically, he didn't die from that.
Yeah, which we'll get to that. Yeah, he did not die from that.
We'll get to that, but yeah, he didn't die from that.
Yeah, but for the time, I thought it was kind of funny. He just rolls in there and he's like, bleh. And I even liked how it ended with the finale, how with Luke tries so hard to like save his father from the dark side, and how it actually gave us the Emperor.
See, it was technically, Empire Strikes Back introduced the Emperor, but
in person, if that makes sense.
But in person, yeah. See, you see the Emperor on the hologram.
Yeah.
In Empire Strikes Back. In the re-releases, Ian McDiarmid, the original Emperor.
Yeah.
I say the original Emperor. But if you watch the original version of that scene, it's actually a woman playing the Emperor, but with a guy's voice. I can't remember the man's name.
I can't
remember who played. The Emperor was always going to be a male.
Yeah, I remember seeing that comparison online as well, and I was always wondering why that design looked a bit weird, but what you told me, that clarified a lot.
Yeah, so but they brought back Ian McDiarmid for the special edition ones to make it more authentic, I guess. But obviously, Emperor Palpatine, it technically introduced him properly anyway in Return of the Jedi. Yeah, the film was great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It was more of a fun movie than like the final one of a trilogy. It was more fun.
Yeah. Oh, and Ewoks. Can't forget about the Ewoks.
I love the Ewoks.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. I love them.
So, this could be, again, either A or S. I want to hear you out on this one.
I'd still put it as A. Because it's not topping Empire Strikes Back.
I mean, obviously, fair enough, but for what it is, I absolutely loved it as well.
Oh, and another thing as well about Return of the Jedi, the scene where you see all the Force ghosts of Anakin.
That was changed as well in the special editions down the line, I believe.
That was changed as well. They changed it from Sebastian Shaw, who played Vader without his mask. Like, you see him without his mask.
Yeah, and then they changed it to like Hayden Christensen.
But they changed it to Hayden Christensen. Like, to me, I don't know if that makes it. Like, no, it kind of makes sense because he technically turned to the dark side at that age.
Yeah.
So the light side of him came back when he died. That's just how I'm seeing it anyway.
Yeah. So next up in the gaming canon after the original trilogy, we have Star Wars Battlefront 2 EA. And as for a side note, we're not having the first EA Battlefront because that doesn't have a story.
And again, I'm not going through gameplay either.
Fair enough. I'll do that for
story
you.
Alone.
Yeah, I'll do the gameplay for you if you like.
Go for it.
I mean, if we're comparing like gameplays from both Battlefronts, like, with the original one that came from Pandemic Studios, I controversially think that the new Battlefront 2 is the best in the franchise, where it's like boots on the ground combat, heroes versus villains and all. It's just so much fun and chaotic.
Fair enough.
Now,
I just whack my mic again.
Yeah, always be careful when you're whacking your mics.
I mean, I prefer the original Battlefront 2. But,
yeah, I prefer that one as well.
In terms of story for Battlefront 2, the newer one anyway, it was alright. It was just another side story, wasn't it?
Yeah, but yeah,
it's not on par with Jedi Fallen Order at all.
No, not on par with that one as well on the story factor. No. I
mean, they did Luke justice with this one. I quite liked Luke Skywalker in it, but other than that, it wasn't really memorable.
Yeah.
And it showed from The Force Awakens, Jakku.
Yeah.
but the story was really lacking, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it just did that whole overtired cliche of like someone who was with the stormtroopers turning to like the rebels and all that. I kind of didn't like that trope.
I was hoping that she was going to be a bad guy throughout the whole thing.
Or at the very least, she could have personally have like become a bounty hunter or something afterwards.
Yeah, even that, like kind of like Asajj Ventress, because she was Count Dooku's apprentice who turned into the bounty hunter.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I was off topic. So with Battlefront 2, I'd say my only good things is that it showed the Death Star blown up from a different perspective. Yeah. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a good highlight.
Like the first half of the game when she was still with the Empire, like I liked that, but everything else, it's just a side story.
I mean, I would say personally, it wasn't good personally because how forgettable it was.
Yeah, I can't remember too much about it.
I mean, it had its fan service moments where you played as the original characters. I liked that, but other than that, overall, I wouldn't say it was great. It was kind of bad, personally.
Yeah, the story, like, it's not the worst story, but it's not great either.
I mean, if I was ranking it on two perspectives, if it was for the story, I would rank it in D tier, but for the gameplay, for like the multiplayer and all that stuff, that would be S tier because of how much fun it is.
I'll have to agree. I'd probably say it's a D tier.
For the story, absolutely. Yeah. But for the gameplay, absolutely great. So I would probably say, personally, I would rank it fairly high. But of course, I would not put it in S because of the fact that the one bad thing about it was the story. I'm just basing it on how much I absolutely enjoyed the multiplayer because I feel like that was its selling point, kind of like with the Battlefield games that DICE also worked on.
Yeah.
So are you okay with this one?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, this next one, I feel like you're going to talk a lot about this one, and me as well. The Mandalorian.
S tier.
Yeah.
S tier.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely another great thing that Disney Star Wars has given us besides Rogue One, so I'll put that up there as well.
It's mostly the fact that, like, even before the show came out, well, it didn't come out for us until Disney Plus was available to us in the UK.
Yeah.
So we got it like a year late, but it was amazing. I thought it was amazing. I'm a big fan of like the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I thought like Pedro Pascal did a fantastic job portraying our main character throughout the show.
The Mandalorian lore in general, like I'm a big sucker for the Old Republic.
Yeah,
and they talk a lot about, and there's a lot of Mandalorian stuff in that. And it kind of, like, even though Old Republic isn't canon anymore, well, kind of, but we'll get into that.
I would not be surprised, like, if one day they'll just make Old Republic canon, considering how they're still making, like, sort of stories and content for that MMO that they're still working on, I believe.
Yeah, they're still expanding the MMO, so it's fine. Yeah, so Mandalorian, there is a lot of Old Republic Easter eggs in that as well. Yeah. Like in Season 2 of Episode 1, where they fight the Krayt Dragon, and the way that Din Djarin kills, or just the way everyone kills the Krayt Dragon is how Revan kills one.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that sequence overall in Season 2, I believe, was so well done.
Oh, and I did like the fact that it showed what happened to Boba Fett's armor.
Yeah.
So he must have maybe like sold it, gave it away, or maybe got it stolen.
Yeah, it was very fan servicey as well, but I did appreciate his return overall. And as for like the finale of Season 2, that was a really good highlight, if you know which one I'm talking about.
Right. Again, full spoilers. Click off. I'm gonna spoil the shit out of the last episode of Season 2.
Yeah, do so. Go out.
Fucking Luke Skywalker turns up and just absolute shreds the Death Troopers. Oh my god. You know, like the Vader scene.
Yeah, it's basically a contrast to that, but for the Jedi, and it was so well done.
Even Maul had one in fucking Clone Wars. Maul had a Vader type scene. He didn't even have his saber with him. He just used the Force. He decapitated 3 clones with a door. Right. Anyway, so Luke Skywalker comes in, uses he uses a dark side power on a but it doesn't really matter because it's a droid. But
yeah.
He crushes it.
Yeah.
With the Force. That's a dark side power, and I quite like that.
Yeah.
But it's obvious this is showing Luke in his prime, which we've not really seen before. We've not really seen Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, apart from The Last Jedi. But yeah, it's Mandalorian absolutely knocked it out of the park with that.
Yeah.
And they made Luke. They made him lovable.
Yeah,
After
in that small amount
the
of
shit
time,
that
he was
they
great. We'll get to that soon. So don't worry, we'll get to that. I promise you.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, now we're going to be in the Disney sequel trilogy for the last few ones. So first one on the chopping block, we have The Force Awakens.
I'm just gonna say straight up, it's the best out of the trilogy.
I kind of would say, but it's not really saying much compared to what came after, personally.
Yeah, that's true, but it's basically A New Hope 2.0, isn't it?
Yeah, it basically just copies and pastes some of the plot elements from that, and it's like, hey, this is a new movie, we're back, baby, it's Star Wars.
Like, the one thing I did like was that there was a planet killer like the Death Star, but it was a planet. It was actually a planet.
Yeah.
And it was Starkiller Base.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Jedi Fallen Order now. You go to, I can't remember the fucking name of the planet, but the name of the planet. I need to look this up.
Yeah, please, sure do. Give us a sec, viewer. We'll be right back after these commercials.
Ilum, that's the name. Ilum. So basically, Starkiller Base was made from the planet of Ilum because Ilum is where the kyber crystals are from, which is what powered lightsabers. So if you see in Jedi Fallen Order, I think it's after you finish the main story, you can see Starkiller Base getting built. Even though that's set before A New Hope, Starkiller Base is getting built when the Empire was around.
Very nice attention to detail there, I guess. Although, I guess we have other discussions about this one as well, because of the fact that, personally, again, like I said, it's the best one out of the sequel trilogy, but it's not really saying much because of the fact that we know where it kind of goes. So everything that The Force Awakens sets up with its mysteries and all that kind of makes this film, personally, to me, age really poorly.
I agree, considering what came after, because they made Finn a badass basically in this film. They gave him a saber, even though he's not a Force user. They gave him a saber. He fights off. Well, he kills one stormtrooper,
and he fights off Kylo for a bit.
He fights off Kylo for a bit, and actually, like, you know, what was it he did to Kylo? He hits him with something. I mean, I know what you're talking up about as well, and I might as well say this right here and on for the characters. Finn in The Force Awakens is a very different character to what he would become down the line. Which of course we'll get to that. Yeah, I actually Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I actually liked Finn's character early on because in fact it had that concept of a stormtrooper becoming like a rebel or a Jedi. I hoped it would have gone that way. I would have imagined like if Finn was trained under Luke and all that, it would have made the trilogy a bit better personally.
Yeah.
But what happened lately, again, we'll get to that.
Yeah, they made Finn a good character in the Force Awakens, but they screwed him over so bad in the next two.
Yeah, and then it was also the one that gave us Rey.
See, I wouldn't have minded Rey. I don't mind Rey as a character. She does annoy me a little bit sometimes, but
I mean, to be fair, I didn't mind her at first. Again, keyword first, but again, we'll discuss that for the other two.
Yeah.
So, with our thoughts so far, this could either be in C or D because of how much The Force Awakens to me has kind of aged poorly, narrative-wise.
I'd say C. I'd probably put it as a C. Just because don't get me wrong, Kylo Ren is a really cool character. I like him as Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I liked him at first, I will admit. So
I still like him now. I think Kylo Ren's cool. And you can see the Revan comparisons with him, just with his mask alone.
I kind of, but for his character, he does kind of become like this whiny, emo teenage boy, you know?
So, it wasn't really like it was played for comedy, let's be honest. Because he just starts slashing shit.
Yeah. So I guess I'll give you this one. You kind of convinced me. I'll put it in C, although if I were to put it personally, I would have put it in D, but I'll put it on C for now. You convinced me.
No,
okay. Now we're gonna hopefully talk about the elephant in the room, The Last Jedi. Oh my god.
Right, a lot of people hate this film. I personally, I'm a bit mixed with it.
Really?
They fucked Luke Skywalker.
I mean, they just basically made him an absolute coward, and everything that Luke stood for.
It it wasn't that. He just goes to straight up kill Ben Solo in his sleep just because he has dark side tendencies. Like,
Which made me question, right, if this is meant to be the same man who lost his hand and everything to turn his father back, why could he not have, like, had a pep talk with him?
They kind of made it out as if it was his fault that Kylo Ren exists.
Yeah.
But I'd say the best things about this film, probably the set pieces. Oh, there's that one scene with Admiral Holdo, and she goes through light speed to go through that entire fleet.
I mean, I will admit that sequence was beautifully well done. It really, really was, because the worst part about it is that at a few moments, this film has some really good stuff. But I remember the rest of the movie in context, and I'm like, oh, it's still kind of crap though.
Oh, another thing that pissed me off with this film, they killed off Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, yeah. What a complete slap in the face. Am I right? And you know what really pisses me off about this movie the most, right? The introduction of some of the new characters and the filler plot point of Finn and Rose Tico going to that casino planet, which, it's just filler.
Yeah, that was really just filler, because it didn't really, like, I don't like the character of Rose. I don't agree with what fans did with her, like, sending her death threats and shit.
I mean, it's basically like the Jake Lloyd situation again.
Yeah, like, it's not her fault, it's how the character was written.
I mean,
and
I will say...
It was written to be, like, I'll say just for the next film as well, she's in it all for, like, 5 minutes because of all the backlash she got.
Yeah,
like, it's not fair, is it?
I mean, I can understand why, but for me personally, like, she's probably the worst character in that movie in the fact that she is pretty much useless. She doesn't do, like, anything that much for the good guys. And the fact that she does do something later on, which I think this is for the ending, which we'll talk about later.
Right, I'm going to say something now about her character.
Yeah.
The one thing that really pissed me off was that Finn was going to sacrifice his life to stop them getting through the rebel base.
Yeah, the last of the resistance. Finn he was going in there.
She was just like, nah, I want you around. I want to give you a big smooch. Fucking crashes into him, almost kills her and him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you stupid?
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
And then she gives that stupid speech at the end about, it's not about fighting what you hate, about saving what you love, while giving him a kiss, and in the background, the base wall is being destroyed.
Yeah, like,
why did no one laugh at this scene? Did no one step up to Rian Johnson and go, maybe people are going to take this the wrong way?
See, I would have been fine if they killed Finn off there, because...
At least it would have gave his character arc a bit of a solid conclusion.
It would have gave him the best conclusion, because, well, we see Captain Phasma, who was basically his boss in The Force Awakens.
Who was just as pointless.
Yeah, she was just as pointless, but she was like his boss, giving him orders and all that. And then, obviously, Finn kills her, and if Finn would have died after that, saving everybody.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been a decent character arc for him.
Yeah, it would have been a good end, rather than giving him the fate that he would just turn to be in, like, Rise of Skywalker, which, again, we will get to that. But for now, we're just going to whip this one a new one again. And again, I also absolutely hated Admiral Holdo. Do you agree? Like, she just kept, like, bossing, like, Poe around, even though he was rightfully concerned about, hey...
They made Poe to be the dumbest person as well. Like, they screwed up Poe as well. Like, Poe didn't really do anything anyway. He was originally going to get killed off in The Force Awakens, and he didn't. And
I know, I understand that, but he was rightfully concerned to stand up against her and the fact that, hey, we're falling like flies, what's the fucking plan? And she's just like, stay in your place, you hothead. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And then we get to some of the most what the fuck moments in the movie. Are you ready for this one?
Go for it.
Leia doing Mary Poppins in space.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought it was fine, but because it shows canonically that she has force powers, even though she kind of did in the original trilogy.
Yeah, it was showed. It was hinted.
It was hinted when she sensed Luke's presence on Bespin when he was hanging for dear life.
Yeah.
But her, showing her using the force, I mean, it did look dumb.
Yeah.
They could have done it better, but
It's just been resulted in being in memes galore because of how ridiculous it was.
It was emotional for me anyway, just for the fact that she had force powers.
Yeah, but how that they chose her to use them, I was just like, what am I looking at?
The way they made her use them was shockingly bad.
Yeah,
wasn't a fan.
Yeah, and the fact that, of course, there was that other scene where Ray is trying to like get to Luke, and he's just traversing around his island, and he gets that goddamn space milk, you know.
Oh yeah, sucking on that alien's titty.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't actually suck it. He just he squeezed it just to get juice out. But he might as well have that scene. He might as well have done it.
That's what you call milking the franchise.
Disney.
But,
I mean, I'm just trying to think about what else I didn't really like about this one as well. Here's another thing I didn't like as well. It literally had the audacity to kill the big villain that was going to be for the trilogy in the second film with Snoke.
Yes, Snoke was essentially going to be the new Emperor.
Yeah, Snoke was just...
Spoiler alert, he is the Emperor. He's Palpatine.
Yeah.
A failed clone.
Yeah, and they just wasted Snoke just for a cheap, shot at subverting expectations, as they say.
Don't get me wrong, right? I was annoyed that they killed Snoke off, but the scene that comes afterwards was good.
Yeah.
When Kylo and Rey take on all the temple guards. I really enjoyed that.
It was a fun action sequence, but I didn't feel much considering how, the reputation that Rey has nowadays of being very overpowered. Which, again, we'll get to that. So, you know what? I'm just going to say this personally. I'm going to say it right out. I think, personally, Last Jedi is F tier.
Yeah, go on, put it in there.
Yeah, it's just F tier. The only credit I will give it, again, is that it's not the worst thing ever made. It does have some good stuff in it. But what it does narrative-wise to the characters, the settings, and everything we knew about before, just kind of takes a huge dump on them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Again, especially what they did to Luke Skywalker, of all people.
Yeah, but he got redeemed in The Mandalorian, so there's that, so...
Yeah, but for the time being, it was just so annoying. If you thought, the prequels made you mad, this one really made your blood boil, for me at least. And now, the last offender... The Rise of Skywalker. You know why I would call this?
I wouldn't call it The Rise of Skywalker.
No, I would just call it Damage Control the movie. Because, again, think about it. After the backlash that they got for Last Jedi, they tried so desperately hard to win fans back by dissing it, if you saw the movie.
They even brought J.J. Abrams back from Force Awakens.
Which, fun fact, Colin Trevorrow was going to direct Episode 9, but because of the background drama going on behind the scenes with Kathleen Kennedy and such, kind of like what happened with Solo, he left the project, so of course they had to get JJ back.
Oh, I don't know if you heard about George Lucas's original plans for the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I've heard about those as well, and I think Yeah, you go on actually.
So the main villains for George Lucas's version of the trilogy would have been Darth Maul. Darth Maul would have came back, and Darth Talon, who's an extended universe character.
That does sound actually fairly decent. Yeah.
I can't believe George Lucas came back for it. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have minded Colin Trevorrow's version. Because it wasn't even called Rise of Skywalker. It was called Duel of the Fates. That's the perfect name for the final
And
movie.
the fun fact about that as well is that Colin even tried to get Luke Skywalker back to his own usual self that fans liked. But of course, a certain someone at Lucasfilm was like, no, we're not doing that.
He even showed off concept art as well of a battle damaged R2D2.
Yeah.
That's amazing. They could have done so much. They could have had the balls to kill off basically everybody. Don't get me wrong, they killed off they killed off Leia, but...
Yeah. But that was because of the fact that the actress did pass away though with Carrie Fisher, so they had to obviously, I guess.
Don't get me wrong, in Rise of Skywalker they gave her a nice send off. They gave her a really nice send off.
Yeah, they did.
I think the best things about Rise of Skywalker for me, I mean, I love the Emperor, so I'm just biased though.
I mean, I understand because it's Palpatine, but the fact that they were kind of personally lazy to bring back Palpatine kind of says it all after they killed the supposed Big Bud.
The writing for this was terrible. Cause
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he didn't even...
The scene literally, like, Poe literally says, somehow Palpatine returned.
And
yeah, and that's explain how he came back.
It
just hints at it with clones and shit.
Yeah, you know what? That's just the perfect way you could sum up Rise of Skywalker. Just show him that clip. Somehow Palpatine returned.
Somehow he returned. Like, what?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, right, Palpatine doesn't even properly explain how he returns or survived. He just gives up a prequel line of, like, how the dark side has mysterious pathways to powers and all that. But the only way you can actually know why he returned is that if you read the novelization of The Rise of Skywalker, and the reasoning for that is just, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say why, but I am going to encourage you after this, right? Look up the novelization version of Rise of Skywalker, the reasoning for why Palpatine returns, just so that I can just see your absolute shock on your face, and I'm like, yes, I'm right.
There's one big thing I do like about Rise of Skywalker.
Go on.
They technically made Revan canon again.
Technically, they did, yeah.
But you don't know this from watching the film. If you had the, was it the encyclopedia?
Yeah, the encyclopedia, like which is just...
and it talks about, like, the Sith troopers and the legions.
Yeah.
And all of the legions are named after ancient Sith lords, and Revan's one of them.
Yeah.
And there was concept art that got shown as well.
Yeah.
Of, well, Exegol, and there was, like, a mural.
Yeah.
And the mural had Darth Malak, Darth Revan, and Darth Nihilus from Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
They were all in the concept art of this film.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice nod that I discovered later.
If that doesn't show you they're going to make them canon soon, they've got better ad.
I mean, I'm gonna guess that they're likely gonna do so with an Old Republic movie trilogy, or that rumored, like, Knights of the Old Republic remake that's probably in the works, if I believe that right.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, although another thing I forgot to mention as well, that is also a big problem for me, that I'm sure a lot of people have said this as well, again, is the fact that how the new characters just are not interesting again, because we just see how it all ends.
Like, don't get me wrong, they put Poe in a lot more in this film. Like, Poe's an alright character, but...
I mean, what they did with Finn, again, after Last Jedi, he's just basically reduced to that supposed comic relief role again, and him just screaming out, Rey! Rey!
Oh, yeah. I'll just say the highlights of the film.
Yeah, just so.
They brought back Lando.
Yeah.
Lando's always a win.
Yeah.
I quite like the battle at the end with all the ships.
Yeah.
But the fact that one of the ships is the Ghost from Rebels, I quite like that.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. Oh,
yeah.
And the scene where all the Jedi are talking to Rey, and basically every single one of them, well, not every single one of them, most of them from the prequels, the original, even the TV shows, like even Kanan Jarrus said something. Or,
yeah, that was like
even
that was
nice as well.
Yeah, that was like a really nice nod, I think.
Even Samuel Jackson voiced a little bit as well.
Yeah. But again, that kind of brings back to probably, again, another big problem for this one, or the whole trilogy in general, for me personally, Rey being the main character. She's just, again, not interesting.
I think, after killing Palpatine, I think she should have died there and then.
Yeah, probably should have, but they wouldn't let that.
Like, if I wouldn't know, I'm not a fucking movie writer.
I know.
But they could have killed Rey there and then. Just let her die, instead of Kylo Ren healing her and then dying.
Oh god, you reminded me of the fact that it introduces new Force powers that kind of contradict Star Wars as a whole at times with the Force heal.
No, Force healing's always been a thing. It was always in the games, and it was never really shown in the films.
Yeah, that was more like for a gameplay mechanic rather than for like the whole narrative. But now that was introduced, I was just thinking to myself, well, if that's a thing now, why could you just done it before for other characters? Could you imagine that?
Yeah, if Force healing was... I mean, I can't really say anything because Force healing's kind of in The Mandalorian as well.
Yeah.
Because Grogu does it, but yeah, fucking... if Force healing was really a thing, why didn't Obi-Wan heal
Qui-Gon Jinn, yeah, and also, and now the way that it was introduced, it just kind of lessens the tension of danger because you're just like, you know what, he's down, I can just simply force heal him. You've been impaled, here's a force heal. You're decapitated, here's a force heal.
And the fact that Rey full-on stabs Kylo Ren as well, that pissed me off.
Again,
like I've said, I wish Kylo Ren would have stayed villain throughout the entire trilogy. But with the way they went, and he was light side, Rey should have died.
Yeah.
And because Ben Solo, he is a Skywalker. Let me remind you, he is a Skywalker because he's latest son. He would have because it's in the name, Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yeah. But the way it ends,
he should have been the one to basically make up for all he's done wrong with, killing Han Solo in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Just all that. He should have just made up for all the things he's done.
Yeah, but of course, though, it did give us that cringe-worthy ending where Rey says to that old lady, like, what's your name and all? And she's like, Rey Skywalker. And I'm like, shut up.
She's not fucking Rey Skywalker. She's Rey fucking Palpatine.
Yeah,
even though that's stupid in itself, because Lucasfilm did not have a plan for this trilogy.
No, not at all. And again,
Daisy Ridley said herself, they were bouncing through who her parents or who everybody is.
I mean, fun fact though, they were going to make her be like a lost-long relative of Obi-Wan, but again, because of Last Jedi, they were like, okay, let's just throw in Elder Palpatine just for the sake of a big bad returning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would have been fine if she was related to Obi-Wan. She's got the British accent.
Obviously.
She's got the English accent, so it would work. But yeah, that's my take on The Force Awakens anyway. Not Force Awakens,
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
Now, of course, with this being the last one, I feel like with what we discussed about it being like a waste of potential and damage control, do you think this is going to be in the same tier as The Last Jedi for failing to fix the mess that it was, or do you think it was slightly better than that movie?
Yeah, I think it's better than Last Jedi.
So should this be in D?
It has more good moments than bad. Well, no, it has more good moments than The Last Jedi has.
Well, it did have that whole "they fly now" scene, no.
That was stupid as well. Do they not remember jet troopers and shit?
Yeah, when I saw that, I was literally screaming to myself, Finn, you served them! How did you not know, you thick idiot?
Even the Death Troopers in The Mandalorian fly.
and now I'm talking about that, I'm just remembering a lot more cringy moments from that movie.
I'm done talking about Rise.
Yeah, I'm done as well. You know what? Should we just put it in FOD? I want to hear your thoughts.
I'm gonna say it's lower than Clone Wars, but I'd still put it in D. It's better than The Last Jedi, way better.
Even if it's not saying much.
Yeah.
I'll let you have that one. Oh god, so there we go. That's our ranking for everything that's canon in Star Wars so far. So what did you think of this list?
Yeah, pretty decent list. I'm just... Yeah.
Yeah. I bet everyone's just enjoyed us just ripping apart the sequel trilogy as we went on.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and of course, I will have the Mighty Amaymon here linked down below in the description for you to give him a follow on Twitch.
Cheers for having me.
You're welcome. Anyways, this is IronZaku's signing out. Peace.